All right, everyone. If the propaganda about Donald Trump, in regards to Epstein especially, wasn't already rife, link in the description, archived of course, here's the ultimate humdinger. This article is from CNN, and it says there are newly unearthed photos of Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein interacting together. Well, that sounds damning now, doesn't it? He's big in the news because liberals finally remembered that Epstein existed. Now they're saying there's some sort of cover-up. And to be honest, the Trump administration has not canvassed this properly. I do not believe that Donald Trump is a pedophile. I do not believe that he's interested in children. He seems to be more into the big titty mama sort of thing. That seems to be his forte. Well, more power to him. Whatever you're into, as long as it's consensual and shit. Anyway, you look at the article, and you'd think by the title and the first paragraph, it was damning about Trump. Oh my God, we've got new footage of Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein yucking it up, which everyone knew that Donald Trump did. Here's the catch, though. It's all shit from before the allegations against Epstein were made. This is before Donald Trump kicked him out of his properties. This is from before anyone knew that Jeffrey Epstein was into weird shit. I have no doubt that Jeffrey Epstein hooked Trump up with adult women. He was a bit of a playboy in between marriages, and he liked to party. He was the only sober one at the party, so, he was he was getting his balls off. He was fucking everyone, basically. We all know this about Donald Trump. Nobody gives a shit. The only thing at concern is, did Donald Trump do that with maybe a 12-year-old or something like that? The answer is presumptively no. Because these photos and shit like that come from long before Jeffrey Epstein was known to have engaged in such behavior. In fact, it seems that he also liked to get adult women consensually involved with other people. He did this in order to get favors and things like that. I don't doubt that Donald Trump engaged in that behavior. He was a fucking playboy. Of course he palled around with somebody who could supply him with young, attractive women. But they weren't kids. There's no indicator of that whatsoever. Now, the Trump administration's messaging with regards to the issue does lead to some questions. I think I have the answer to that question. I believe that the FBI, under Kash Patel and Dan Bongino, decided to preempt Donald Trump. I think that they released their report without his consent or knowledge. And once the report was released, it was impossible for Trump to maneuver and actually go after it. I think that the FBI has gone rogue, which doesn't really surprise me and probably doesn't surprise most of you. Um, that's what I think happened. But this particular report here from CNN is a complete lie. It's a lie by structure. You tell the lie in the first paragraph. 99% of people don't have the attention span to read the rest of the article. I have to do it for a fucking living. Trust me, it can get a little bit exhausting. But then in like paragraph 3, then you get the real skinny. Oh, well, yeah, these are pictures from like 1982 or something like that. Well, that's real helpful. Yeah, wonderful. Now people think that Donald Trump is a pervert, even though you're providing no additional corroborating evidence of that actually being the case. I have no problem with criticizing Donald Trump. You may have noticed this, especially over the Epstein case itself, honestly. The White House messaging on it makes no sense. I don't understand exactly why Donald Trump decided to defend Kash Patel of all people on this particular case. Hmm, it's clank time. Yeah. Coffee goes with milk. I do not add sugar. But despite that fact, there's no reason to believe that Donald Trump is a perv. I mean, he pervs on women, obviously. He is a man, as you say. But it seems that he's into adult females in consensual arrangements, sometimes business relations. Okay, you're hot. I own a Porsche. You get the message, right? This happens all the time. It's basically a form of high-end prostitution more than anything. Sometimes it leads to a relationship. But no, I don't think that Trump's into kids, but you wouldn't get that from this article. You think, oh, he's associated more closely with Epstein than we thought before. Yeah, but it was 30 years ago or something like that. So it's completely irrelevant. Epstein hadn't been charged with jack shit at the time, and we also have no evidence that Trump went to Epstein Island or to his ranch or anything like that. It seems more like Epstein showed up at Trump Tower and then they partied down. And, there was dancing and, scantily clad women and stuff like that. In fact, it would be funny. And this might actually be the case, by the way. It would be funny if Trump was supplying Epstein with women. Adult women, of course. It wouldn't be funny if they were kids. It would be funny if he was like, hey, I've got this real DTF 20-year-old here, really wants to meet you. I can supply a room. I'm going to need to borrow your jet, by the way, later to get back to Manhattan, but after that, you can have some fun for a few nights. This is entirely plausible. You think that these people don't do that? People hook each other up all the time. And, Epstein more than most, admittedly, and he did not kill himself. Ghislaine Maxwell hooked a lot of people up with apparently nobody. She trafficked children to literally nobody. That is one strange aspect of this particular case. I would think that Donald Trump should have him go in and interrogate Ghislaine Maxwell some more. Probably if they tried to do so, the FBI would make sure that she died or something like that, so probably they're not going to press that issue any further. We will eventually get the Epstein client list, and it does exist. And shame on the Trump administration for not acknowledging that. I'm assuming that there's some sort of backstory to that. I don't know what it is. Still, you should have been honest from the get-go. But we're not going to get it anytime soon, dude. I've already told the reason why. Because if everyone knew all the people on the list, number one, you've just skewed all the cases against them, and number two, the economy will completely collapse. Because it's a who's who of the rich and famous. That's a lot of fucking money that's tied up there. Trillions of dollars. So don't expect it in our lifetimes. That's about all. Peace out.